Now, what are intervals? Interval basically refers to distance between two notes in music. Let me give you an example of an interval. G to E is an interval. D to C is an interval. F sharp to G is an interval. Basically, you choose any two random notes on the piano and the distance between them is known as an interval. I could literally just close my eyes and choose two random notes. And I don't know what these notes are, but they form an interval because these are two notes on the piano which have a distance between each other. Now, there are two main types of intervals in music: tones and semitones. Let's get to semitones first. Semitones are the smallest intervals in music. An example of a semitone is C to C sharp, or E to F, or B to C. Now, the reason why we call them the smallest intervals in music is because all these notes are right beside each other. They literally have no gap between each other. So, in the case of B and C, there is literally no other note between B and C. B and C are as close as it gets, which is why they are a good example of the smallest interval in music. Now, an example of the smallest interval could be anything. It could be A to A sharp, F to F sharp, E to F. I think I already mentioned that. A sharp to B. Basically, two notes which are next to each other without any other note in between. Right? So there is basically minimal amount of gap between these two notes. Doesn't matter if these are two white notes. They can't be two black notes because, as you can see on the piano, there are literally no two black notes which are next to each other. Between two groups of black notes, there's always at least one white note. But otherwise, the example of a semitone could be two white notes or a white note and a black note. The color doesn't matter in this case. Just to sum it up, semitones are the smallest intervals in music. Now let's get to tones. Basically, the way to understand the tone is a tone is twice as huge or covers the distance twice as long as a semitone. So basically, if you take two semitones, you'll form a tone, right? So a good example of a tone could be C and D, because let's see now if C and D are as long as two semitones. So we go from C to C sharp, which is one semitone, then C sharp to D, which is two semitones. So C to D is a good example of a tone. Another example of a tone could be F sharp to G sharp, or C to D, or G to A, or C sharp to D sharp. So those are tones. So just to sum it up again, semitones are basically intervals wherein the notes are as close as they can be. Therefore, they are the smallest distance between two notes. And tones are basically intervals which are twice as long or twice as distanced as two semitones.